Using greener forms of concrete could cut carbon emissions by half for every new building constructed in Singapore. So far, MPs have suggested making it a bigger requirement in building standards like the Green Mark as part of the upcoming 2030 Green Plan. But as Isabelle Lim finds out in today's SG Pulse, cost and a lack of expertise on green concrete could be a stumbling block.
Singapore is a concrete jungle, but there's more than meets the eye when it comes to this grey stuff that makes up the environment. Concrete is made from cement, water and aggregates, which could be things like sand or gravel, but it's cement that produces the most carbon emissions. It involves heating limestone and clay to make a substance called clinker. This process releases carbon dioxide. It's estimated that about 8% of global CO2 emissions comes from making cement. To go green, concrete producers are replacing cement with waste products, for instance, from the steel industry, like the one I'm holding, as well as from the silicon industry right here. They're also replacing aggregates with recycled materials, such as these two. Now, all of this can reduce the carbon emissions of concrete from about 30 to 50%. Such green concrete is only about 5% more expensive than normal concrete. The challenge is having workers with the right skills to use the material.
Because of using of such supplementary material, well, then the hydration rate will be reduced compared to the typical Poland cement. And because of that, well, the contractors will need to have more experience in order to learn those differences when compared to the typical concrete.
One builder says the demand for such green concrete is still low. It's used only in a quarter of projects from the private sector.
When the designers start the design process, they can actually specify which type of concrete needs to be used in the project. So when the builders come on board, we will then design accordingly to meet the requirements.
Mr. Ganesh says the government is already taking the lead in making green concrete part of tender requirements for its new buildings. He says it's all about raising awareness on different building materials in the industry.
We need to establish the communication directly to the developer and not just to the contractor. If not, then the developer do not know what choices they may have missed out from the contractor side.
Mr. Chan now markets green concrete directly to developers, and so far 30% of their clients have taken them up on the offer.
Tomorrow, SG Pulse will bring you another story on the different ways that Singapore can double down even more on its climate change efforts.